The Trump administration has officially reimposed sanctions on the country of Iran. Now, those sanctions had been lifted during the Obama administration as part of the nuclear deal that administration had made with Iran. And honestly, that's probably the primary reason as to why the sanctions are being reimposed and why the Iran deal had been ripped up. But no, in a statement, of course, Trump said, the United States is fully committed to enforcing all of our sanctions, and we will work closely with nations conducting business with Iran to ensure complete compliance. Individuals or entities that fail to wind down activities with Iran risk severe consequences. The JCPOA, which is the official name for it, or acronym for the deal, he said is, quote, a horrible one-sided deal and failed to achieve the fundamental objective of blocking all paths to an Iranian nuclear bomb. And it threw a lifeline of cash to a murderous dictatorship that has continued to spread bloodshed, violence, and chaos. Okay, a couple things on that. Number one, Saudi Arabia. We kind of have a lifeline to a murderous dictatorship right now that's bombing the shit out of Yemen. So we have given a lot of money to Saudi Arabia, and we sold a lot of weapons to Saudi Arabia. And right now, because of our funding to that regime, Yemen is going through a famine, a disastrous famine. So, tell me all about giving lifelines of cash to murderous dictatorships. Saudi Arabia is so bad that they kill people for witchcraft and apostasy. They cut people's heads off. They cut people's hands off. So let's talk about murderous dictatorships. But look, not just that, right? Let me go back to the United States is fully committed to enforcing all of our sanctions. No, we're not. What about the ones that Donald Trump refuses to enforce on Russia for meddling in the 2016 election? Congress overwhelmingly passed. It's a veto-proof majority of Congress said, yes, let us sanction Russia for their attempts to meddle in the 2016 election and the possibility that they may meddle in the 2018 and 2020 elections. What does Donald Trump do? Decides not to enforce those sanctions, but is more than happy to enforce sanctions on Iran, who actually did not do anything to deserve having those sanctions snapped back. They actually were very compliant. So what do I think about this? Of course, I believe that Donald Trump is starting us on a path towards war with Iran. That's what I actually think that this might be about, even if Donald Trump isn't quite aware of it. But look, I said Iran was complying with the deal, and let me give you some details here, and why this was not a horrible one-sided deal as President Trump claims. They actually gave away about 98% of their uranium stockpile. 98% of their uranium. Handed it over. The rest, of course, is they're able to use for their nuclear energy program, which is different than a nuclear weapons program. For example, with nuclear energy, uranium only has to be refined to about 2 to 3%, right? For weapons-grade uranium, that's over 90%. So you would have to refine it incredibly, high, like incredibly well, in order to get weapons-grade uranium. They're not able to do that. In fact, the centrifuges that we allowed them to keep, right, are actually older, inefficient centrifuges that would be unable to refine uranium to the point of where you could use it in a weapon. So, and that's just some of the provisions, of course. Not only that, but we have had unprecedented access into Iran's nuclear facilities. And so it was actually an incredible deal. It's one of the best deals that we could get with Iran, especially considering we don't exactly have friendly relations with Iran. So, but of course, President Trump, not strong enough, not tough enough. We need to model it on our North Korea deal. What North Korea agreement? Again, they already have nuclear weapons. Trump says, I want them to denuclearize So I met with Kim Jong-un. Kim Jong-un's strong leader, great guy. Tremendous. I believe in him. I believe he will denuclearize. But you don't have any proof. The agreement that you signed said nothing about inspections. Said it was a vague outline of, yeah, we're going to denuclearize at some point. We promise you. That's what he calls a strong, great deal. But the nuclear deal, negotiated by a lot of world leaders, plus the United States, Barack Obama, that was obviously not good enough. No. What this is Trump bending, of course, to the neocons in his cabinet. John Bolton, Mike Pompeo. These are the guys who dream about a war with Iran. And, of course, this might be the first step. Now, let me give you some details about the sanctions and what would be put back into place and why actually this would be devastating for the people of Iran. And might actually go towards one of the goals that the administration has. Now, the sanctions that will come back into effect target transactions with U.S. dollar banknotes, trade in gold and precious metals, direct and indirect sales of graphite and metals, such as steel and aluminum. Certain transactions related to the Iranian rial, that's their currency. Certain transactions related to issuing Iranian sovereign debt and Iran's automotive sector. Additionally, authorizations will be revoked for the import of Iranian origin carpets and foodstuffs and the export of commercial aircraft. A lot of that stuff, yes, will hurt, ironically, American businesses who couldn't wait to go and open up Iran and actually do business there. But the second round of sanctions, that's going to be a lot more significant. This is what they're really counting on. On November 4th, the sanctions on oil sales will snap back. And that's what got the Iranian government very, very angry. A senior administration official said that this would have an exponential effect on Iran. Yeah, of course. Oil is one of their main exports. So, you cut off their oil, their ability to sell oil on the market, well, that drives gas prices up, which is actually great for oil companies and great for corporations. So, that's why a lot of these corporations are like, oh, you're going to make oil a little bit more scarce by not allowing the Iranians to be able to sell oil on the world market. Well, that means our prices are going to go up, and we're going to do great. Now, who does Donald Trump work for primarily? Coal companies and oil companies. So there we go. Those are some of his bigger donors. But it's not just that. It's not the fact that the corporations are actually in favor of that. It's also defense contractors, which I guess are also corporations. So you have defense contractors that are looking to make a lot of money, and guess what? Another Middle Eastern war seems pretty lucrative, especially when it comes to more contracts. So that's why I'm saying that this is actually leading us towards a war, and actually would feel like a little bit of a prelude to an invasion. I mean, we see the drumbeat of war. We've seen the drumbeat of war for quite some time, especially when it comes to the right. So here we got Donald Trump listening to Pompeo, listening to Bolton, who would love nothing more than to invade Iran. Now, that would be a disaster. But there's another component to it. There's also the Israeli component to it. And Israel, again, is not in favor of Iran. They're enemies, basically, with Iran. And here you have Benjamin Netanyahu, who is facing corruption scandals in his own administration. Maybe prompting or doing a unprompted bombing of Iranian facilities now that there is no more deal in place. And if Israel goes and bombs Iran, well then guess who's going to come afterwards when Iran strikes back? That's going to get us involved, because now we're defending our our Israeli friends against the Iranian invaders who are seeking to destroy Israel. Disaster, man. And look, it just all looks like we're trying to head up into a conflict with Iran. The corporations want it. The Benjamin Netanyahu and the right-wingers in Israel want it. Our right wing here wants it. Disastrous, man. And look, Iran, much bigger than Iraq. And very likely a war there would cost trillions of dollars and potentially millions of lives. Innocent people soldiers. So, and of course, it's for no reason, no actual concrete reason. And again, I've explained all the different actors in here with Netanyahu and the neocons here and the neocons in other countries, of course. And even the hardliners in Iran would be in favor of this as well. But Donald Trump, and I alluded to how stupid he was earlier, I think he honestly thinks, Obama did it, I can get a better deal. And I could be better than Obama. And, this could be a war launched by a president for not only vanity, I'm looking tough, I'm looking strong, going after our so-called enemies, and then also it could be a way to distract from Mueller, the Manafort trial that's going on right now, the fact that he did admit to colluding or wanting to collude with Russia during the Don Jr. meeting. There's a lot of different reasons, and you can only go back to a couple of tweets from President Trump during the Obama administration, even saying, President Obama, war with Iran to distract from his disastrous administration. Well, that tweet aged very, very poorly. So, look, I hope that doesn't happen. I have very few hopes that this administration is not going to try to blunder us into a new disastrous war. But I hope not. I hope cooler heads can somehow prevail, maybe talk Trump out of making this disastrous move. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.